Thanks for joining, everyone. My name is Clever Mukori, and I am the Partner Relationship Manager at ByteSpeed. I'm sure most of you are already familiar with ByteSpeed, but I'll just give you the quick story again. We started in 1999, so when our business started, and since then, we've been a dedicated resource for school districts, city and local government, banks, a whole variety of institutions across the country. We started out custom building desktops and servers, and those we still do today. They come with 5 years of warranty, lifetime tech support. And then over the years, all our customers for desktop servers, they've continued to ask us questions about different solutions, and we've expanded our service offerings to a variety of infrastructure partners, and then eventually, more recently, cybersecurity solutions as well. So one of our chief partners is Arctic Wolf, and they've been second to none in terms of um, MDR solutions, EDR solutions. So I'll have Nick Prince go into the specifics of their entire solution set, but they've been a very reliable partner to work with, excellent in their responsiveness and everything. So I think you will be very well impressed by the offerings today and how professional they are. And they've grown out to such a large organization with all kinds of network support centers that you can rely on, and engineers. And so I think they might have more engineers than salespeople, which is kind of a nice thing. So, but we'll have Nick touch on that and give us the specifics and kind of speak to how they can be a resource to you all. So, Nick, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, Clever. Thanks for getting this set up. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, and thanks to ByteSpeed for getting us connected with you guys. I'll do a quick intro. So Nick Prince, I work as a senior sales engineer. I've been with Arctic Wolf just over 5 years. We're headquartered in Minnesota, but we support people across North America, across the globe. And I've had the privilege of helping organizations here locally in Minnesota and the Dakotas, but we have teams all over to help our customers. My big role is working with prospects, trying to understand where they're at with their security journey, some of the challenges they're facing, some of the tools, technologies they're leveraging, what their team looks like, and again, some of the challenges that they're facing, and really align that to where we might be able to help with either a technology, a service, or some type of engagement that we can work with them on them.
Yeah, perfect. And just before we hop right into the subject matter, I work very closely with Paige. She's on today as well. And maybe Paige, you can quickly introduce yourself, but um, you might be muted.
Yeah, and she might be maybe juggling a couple things, but yeah,
Oh, okay.
Paige works with a lot of our partners. So the way we kind of go to market is we do deliver our services directly to customers. We can also partner with MSPs, but ByteSpeed and other organizations, we work with them again to help align to where customers might need some help, where they might need our services, and Paige is one of the people that helps run those relationships. Cool. Well, I'll go ahead and get kicked off from an agenda standpoint. Every year we put out a threat report. So we recently just published our 2025 threat report. So I'm going to go through just a few data points from that, some of the highlights. We have that available on our website. So certainly if you want to dig deeper, that can be made available to you. We can certainly also get you a copy through ByteSpeed or whatever is needed there. But I'll run through that. Some of the main components that we'll go through is talking about ransomware, business email compromise, intrusions, and then hopefully get some questions in your mind that you can bring back to your team, or just thoughts about your environment and how you're doing things that might be able to help better protect you, or find areas where you might need to look at some different partnerships or technologies to help fill some of those gaps. And then I'll wrap it up just really explaining what we do, how we partner with organizations, the value we provide, and go from there. So real quick, just a little bit of a data point on what feeds that threat report. where we're getting the information. This is all based on forensics work that our IR team is doing for organizations. So we're lucky to have a full scope of IR services that we can make available to our customers, to prospects. We work very closely with cyber insurance. So this organization a lot of times is brought in during an active incident. They're brought in to do forensics. We can do a full scope of remediation though, so we can do threat actor negotiations, all the digital recovery, um, and clean up as needed. And that's all in-house. So our team is able to, again, fully help in those situations where needed. And with that, we have a lot of good intelligence on, what's happening in the security landscape, what ransomware groups are out there, what techniques they're leveraging. And that's really important if you are going through an incident, is to have an IR organization that just has a really good grasp on those pieces of information. Very helpful as you kind of, again, negotiate or understand, what these bad actors might be leveraging from a intrusion standpoint, how they interact with organizations, what you can expect from communication. So a lot of good information there. We also augmented the data with what we have from our Aurora platform. So we partner with customers again across the globe, across industries, and we get a lot of good intelligence. So that helped augment the report. We also have an Arctic Wolf Labs team. This is data scientists, threat research, a lot of folks focused on detection capabilities and what's happening in the security landscape. So those threat researchers helped again provide some details and information into this report. From a high level, there were a breakdown of incident types that are a part of the report, and we'll focus on kind of the major ones, the big ones here. So ransomware data extortion continues to be a big one for organizations, for the bad actors. Ransomware as a service is big business for these bad folks. So that accounted for a big portion of what our IR team was engaging with and responding to. Now, the difference between ransomware and data extortion: ransomware typically involves an encryption event. So some type of encryption has occurred, and then the bad actors are trying to get money from organizations for that decryption key or the ability to get their data back. And then data extortion, this is, a good thing is that a lot of organizations are doing a good job with like backups and the ability to recover their data. So the bad actors have kind of shifted to also working to extort data. So that way, if you are, maybe if you are dealing with ransomware, they still have a means to get funds or a financial impact from an organization by maybe having some sensitive data available to them. Another big one that's kind of been steady over the last few reports that we've put out is business email compromise. So this could, not only be accounts that are getting compromised, but also social engineering, other factors that affect this threat vertical for organizations. And then another big one, intrusions. So this one actually went up from our last report. And what's happening here is, hopefully organizations are getting better at security. They are seeing things faster. They are responding quicker. So in most cases, this is, a bad actor getting access to an environment, but not necessarily getting to the point in the kill chain where ransomware is occurring or data extortion. So we'll dig a little bit deeper into each of those. We'll start with ransomware and data extortion. And with each of these, we did break it down by industry. You'll find a lot of common industries at the top here. They kind of shift spots back and forth, but a lot of them are kind of consistent across the top here. And one big reason for that is these bad actors, they're humans. They want to be successful. If they're finding a lot of success in manufacturing, they're going to go after that or certain verticals. And that might be for different reasons, the impact to different organizations like manufacturing. If the lines go down, there's a big loss of revenue. Healthcare impacts people and care for folks. And then like education and nonprofit, they understand that that's typically underfunded, understaffed. So unfortunately, it's a big target for them. So kind of the breakdown by industry, and then the root cause that we see in these, almost 93% is based on some type of external exposure. So that, this is very early in the kill chain, but this is, it's good to understand how these bad actors are gaining that initial point of entry. And with that external exposure, the remote access fed a big part of that. So this would be, you can think of like VPN access, RDP, remote management tools that you might use. And a lot of times these are credentials that are harvested or gained from your organization by these bad actors. So it's good credentials that they're leveraging, which, the ability to have that information can come from maybe previous phishing campaigns that these bad actors are doing. It might come from third-party breaches that are out there, major data breaches. And then there's a huge marketplace for this. So if somebody does get, a good credential, that information sold on the dark web and the marketplace for these bad actors. And then when you think from like a detection standpoint, if they are leveraging a known good, user account and password to get access to your environment, sometimes that, again, that initial indicator of compromise or that initial root access is a little hard to detect, especially if you're only maybe monitoring certain parts of your environment. And some best practices here are things to maybe think about is, how do your contractors or your service providers or other organizations access your environment? And a good thing to think about is, with that access, are they getting privileges that maybe they shouldn't have to have access to? Are they only getting access to what they need? It's always a good idea to kind of think through that, understand, what some of these third parties might be able to leverage in your environment. Should, again, any sort of event happen where that remote access is being compromised. And then another big one, external exploits. So these aren't only like 0 days, but also known vulnerabilities for maybe those edge devices, those public-facing servers, some of the components of your environment where these bad actors have visibility outside of your network, based on, again, some of the scans they do against the organizations out there. And really the idea here is, especially if it's a known vulnerability or if it's an item that we know that the bad actors are leveraging, having a plan to, put that patch in place, do that software update, always critical to have that process in place. And a challenge sometimes with organizations, they might have the policy like, hey, if it's critical, we're gonna patch this within 24 hours. But having an audit of that, understanding if you are actually, following that procedure, having the time to do that. I understand that's limited sometimes if you don't have the staff. And sometimes there's just critical systems that you can't patch until you get an outage window. So some challenges there, but really just, again, understanding, what vulnerabilities are in the environment, having a plan to remediate those, and then having visibility, as you kind of work through that process to ensure that that nobody's taking advantage of it. So those are some of the root causes, and then from a ransomware demand, from these threat actors, from these groups, a little bit of a breakdown year over year what that looks like. So the medium ransomware demand across all industries kind of stayed consistent. And then you can see some of the industries fluctuated a bit, up and down between the years here. But again, the good thing to know here is this is the initial demand. This isn't like it's going to be on the organization, on the industry, on the district to make that decision if you are or are not going to pay the ransom. And again, that can be based on your ability to recover, how sensitive that data is, and having an IR team, that you're working with throughout that process is really critical to one, just understand what maybe these bad actors have gained access to, what data they have, but also that initial demand isn't necessarily what, they want to get paid. So it's not necessarily what you have to pay them. A lot of times that number can be negotiated. And we found that in 64%, or we found a 64% reduction in the cases that we worked with organizations from that initial ransomware demand. So again, our team they know the bad actor groups, they understand if they're willing to negotiate, they know where these initial demands are going to come in. And a lot of times they know where we will be able to kind of reduce that initial demand if a ransom does need to be paid. Another number to throw at this, for the calendar year last year, we were able to save $250 million in those demands. So, again, just to reiterate, as you work through these incidents or as you plan for, potentially, something like this happening, having a good IR team in your corner is critical to getting through the event, but also reducing the overall impact of it. So I'll talk about one of the threat actor groups that we're seeing the most right now, and they're a pretty new group in the space. I think we first saw them a few years ago, kind of come to fruition, and over the past year, this was the group that accounted for the most activity in the cases that we worked. Over 15% of the cases we worked were Akira based. A little background on this organization, based on the information we know, the data we see, the lineage of it looks like, a lot of the source code came from, it looks like it came from the Conti group. And then some of the payment addresses, some of the information from the ransomware demands go to similar endpoints that were part of the Conti group that are now Akira. So the thought is, maybe, there was a rift there or something happened and people left that group, started a new one. This happens quite a bit. You'll see, groups kind of spin down, new ones take their place. Unfortunately, again, it's big business, so there's always going to be a group of people that are in the market that are finding success. And again, this is the one that we're seeing the most frequently right now. Based on their leak site, they had 215 victims last year, and these are just ones that they published. So if, say, someone did pay the ransom or did kind of negotiate with them, they might not show up on that list. But on average, that's 19 organizations per month that they begin access to, and we're causing some chaos. And again, we understand this group. We know what they're going to be doing in the environment. They go after VPN credentials, and that's usually their initial point of entry for an organization. But we're familiar with them. A thorn in our side for sure, and our customers that we help support. But when it comes to working through that event, negotiating with them, we know exactly how to interface and how to work through that. Cool. So ransomware, data extortion. We'll now move over to business email compromise, the next biggest item that we're working on. And again, a breakdown by industry. And a lot of this might be, again, based on success. So the bad actors want to get paid. They'll go after certain verticals, certain organizations, and various techniques based on that success. And really, business email compromise sometimes is based on how organizations do business. Finance, insurance, they have a lot of email communication within their business. There's a lot of money moving around, whether it's wire transfers, payments. And a lot of that's conducted over email. Um, Organizations like, education, nonprofit, they, they might not be the same as finance or insurance, but certainly, they pay contractors. They might have a new remodel or a new building going up where payments need to be made or wire transfers need to be made. So there's certainly opportunity across all industries for these bad actors to leverage business email compromise as an attack for them. A big part of the way that they are able to initiate this attack is through phishing. So almost 73% of these incidents started with a successful phish of the organization. And really that just kind of highlights the importance of making sure that your staff, your users are well educated on what these bad actors are doing, the techniques they're leveraging, what to look for in emails, maybe encouraging them to pause, hover over an email address, maybe scratch their head a little bit if something doesn't seem normal. And a big thing that we kind of talk through and encourage is, a positive culture and environment where your users are, they don't feel shame if they click something, or they're not afraid to tell IT or leadership that something might have happened through email. Really encouraging them to bring that to, again, to their IT and their leadership, so that if something does happen, you can quickly respond to it before it gets to a situation um, where you are now dealing with an event or an incident. And unfortunately, this is getting much easier through AI, large language models, the phishing emails, the social engineering, whether that's through just really crafting a very well done email. I remember, times where you could look at the grammar of an email and understand that, this isn't real, this isn't normal. That's getting a lot easier for these bad actors. Some of the social engineering that they can do with voice, maybe impersonating, one of your leaders, your superintendents, your CEOs, and making it sound like, they have a request or something urgent's happening, and certainly with video too. So yeah, big takeaway here, just again, having some type of program around educating your users. Nobody's going to be perfect. These items are going to occur. So pairing that education also with the ability to detect when maybe a bad actor is getting access to the environment. If you don't expect people to be logging in out of state, out of country, having that information, be able to respond to it quickly, understanding if someone's on a vacation or it is a bad actor trying to get access to your environment, being able to see that quickly and respond to it is critical in stopping these type of events. All right, so we'll move on to intrusions, vulnerabilities, and kind of talk through this a little bit. Again, a breakdown by industry. We see some of the same names at the top here. Of all of these attacks that occurred, we have some other ones that we have in the report. 3 of them, I think, were in the top 5 for all of them. So education, nonprofit, manufacturing, and healthcare are always kind of at the top of the list. And again, it's based on how critical some of that data is with, healthcare, obviously, HIPAA data, education, PII data, finance and insurance, a lot of money to go after there, maybe PCI data. So we see a lot of those folks in the top, and unfortunately, again, when the bad actors in these groups find success, they share that information. They know where organizations are getting most impacted, and that's kind of a big target for them. So the root cause for the intrusions, a breakdown between the different colors. Orange would be external exposure, so similar to kind of ransomware and the data exfiltration. A lot of the initial point of entry is through external exposure. but a bigger portion of user action. Um, so again, some of the stuff we talked through with the remote access, the capabilities for these bad actors to get into your environment unnoticed, maybe move laterally, escalate privileges, stuff like that. And then external exploits. But this is where we see 0 days kind of tick up a little bit more. And there could be a few reasons for it. It might be, maybe the bad actors are saving 0 days for certain targets or certain attacks. Maybe that's the only way they can get in an organization. Maybe they've tried different um, different techniques to get into an organization and they've been unsuccessful, so they have to leverage a 0 day. But also, we see malicious software download as a bigger portion here too. So again, this might be, a user downloading something maliciously. A lot of times these aren't really targeted versus just an opportunity for a bad actor to gain access to somebody, and from there, trying to figure out what they're going to do from their attack. Sometimes it is maybe focused on a vertical. Like if you're in education, you're likely not going to get known financial pieces of software or going to those sites. So sometimes it is a little targeted, but not necessarily like, hey, we're going right after this specific organization through these downloads. And then a breakdown of the vulnerabilities that we saw the bad actors leveraging in these attacks. A big portion of them there was 10 vulnerabilities that accounted for over 75% of the attacks. And then of that, 4 of them accounted for 51% of those incidents. So those are listed on the right here. But again, kind of to highlight, like these are known vulnerabilities. They have CVEs, they have some type of patch or update available to help plug that gap. So having a good process around, identifying those, whether that's, working with the vendor to get information, bulletins, whether that's scanning the environment on a continuous basis to kind of see which vulnerabilities are present in the environment. CISA develops a list of known vulnerabilities that the bad actors are leveraging. Certainly a great resource to go look at. But a lot of effort and time goes into patching. It's totally understandable. So it's a challenge for everyone to kind of work through keeping the environment up to date, keeping it operational. So again, having that program in place is critical, and then also having some monitoring or having some understanding if these bad actors are leveraging a specific vulnerability goes a long way, and filling that gap as you have the time you need to fill to apply the patch or the update. All right, so yeah, we went through kind of the 3 big ones here. So just some kind of talking points on how to manage those threats, how to mitigate them. And we've talked about a few of them here, but just to recap, having a plan when something happens is critical. Like, where are my backups? Where is, having the business continuity, the DR plan is good, but also, understanding who I reach out to, who does the superintendent need to be called? Do we have legal counsel that we need to reach out to? When do we reach out to cyber insurance? Do we have an IR team that's available? Having all of that documented is critical as you kind of work through these attacks and these incidents. And again, ensuring they have the right professionals helping you through that process. IR teams can kind of vary in their capabilities, their ability to engage quickly. Sometimes there's gaps there. So having someone that you can go to and quickly get help, critical as you work through these incidents. And then as we saw, some of the ways the bad actors are getting access to the environment, if it's a stolen credential, that initial point of entry is going to look normal for most technologies that are trying to monitor your environment. So having broad visibility, not just maybe on the endpoint, but also network, your cloud resources that you use, SaaS, everything in your environment, like just having a good understanding of that data, how it's configured, what activity is occurring, and being able to, understand what's normal, what's not normal, so that way you can quickly identify when a bad actor, when an incident might be occurring in your environment. Another one around identity and having strong controls there. Um, having that extra step with like multi-factor authentication. Say a user does get their credentials compromised, having that extra step, having 2FA is really critical in making it a lot harder for that bad actor to gain access to the environment. And then those policies around how maybe contractors or MSPs or other outside people are accessing your environment, what they have access to, ensuring they don't have overprivileged access to the environment. All of that stuff, is critical in really trying to limit the scope of what could happen in the environment. And then lastly, kind of touching on, maybe that business email compromise or your users, like having a good security culture, having consistent training for your users, maybe testing them with phishing simulations so you can understand, if that training's effective for them. But ultimately, our stance or our kind of view of security is to encourage your users to come to you whenever they maybe clicked on something they didn't mean to, whenever they're scratching their head, whenever they're pausing on something that's happening in the environment. And again, encouraging those activities to be reported so that way you can go take action or confirm that nothing bad is happening in the environment. So from the threat report, that was kind of the data I wanted to highlight and talk through. From here, I'm going to kind of shift over to where we're able to provide some services and assistance for organizations, for districts, and talk a little bit more about Arctic Wolf here. This one I think provides some good context on the way we go to market, the way we develop our services and offerings for organizations. There are a lot of security companies. There are a lot of tools and products that you can go purchase and implement. But our thought is you also need the right people, you need the right processes to really get the value out of those technologies. And we're seeing that the products alone aren't fixing security. The ransoms are still happening, payments are still happening, losses are still happening for organizations. So what are some other ways that we can help ensure that we're reducing risk for our customers? And really that's pairing both the technology that they've invested in, technology that we can deliver, and then tying that to the process and the people needed to make sure that you're, again, getting the value of that technology, making sure it's configured right, making sure if it is generating logs or information, that you have a team that understands that and can respond quickly. Our goal with customers is to help them end cyber risk. Now that, no cybersecurity company or product is perfect. We understand that. While that's our goal, things can still happen. So when you look at the overall risk for an organization, for a district, where we might miss something or where a technology might miss something, we help with the idea of like risk transfer, both through a warranty that we provide. So if you invest in our services and partner with us, we have some financial dollars that we are able to provide for organizations should something happen on our watch or while you partner with us. And that can range anywhere from 100K, depending on the services and the term, it can range from 100K all the way up to $3 million in coverage. Now, other providers and technologies also have warranties. I'll just say with ours, it's, there's not a lot of hoops to go through if something were to happen. It is something that we've, paid out to organizations. So great value for the people that are investing in us to return that back to them should something happen. And then insurability, we work closely with insurance companies. Our IR team are on a lot of their panels, and we understand like what they care about. So when organizations do invest in our services, they do invest in us. We help them ensure that they're getting the best policy possible. Their rates are as low as possible, and they are insurable. So again, if something were to happen, you have that financial dollars to help mitigate whatever that looks like for the organization. From a service perspective and offerings that we have today for customers, they really center around security operations as a service. I'd mentioned pairing technology with people and process. Every service we're delivering has those components as a part of them. I'll start on the top left with endpoint security. So we do offer the EPP and EDR software to our customers to help protect their endpoint, help stop threats from happening, help identify those advanced techniques that the bad actors are using and respond to it. We do that both as software only and then also as a managed endpoint solution where our team is then doing the 24/7 alert triage, monitoring the environment around the clock, and helping our customers respond to those events on the endpoint. The next one over, managed detection and response. This is really, partnering with our customers and taking a holistic view of the environment. In the threat report, we saw, again, various techniques and procedures that these bad actors use to get access to the environment. Endpoint tools aren't perfect. The bad actors have the ability to bypass them or get around those endpoint technologies. So having a view into, and then sometimes you can't install like endpoint software on your hosted email or certain appliances in the environment. Having logs and information about those other components is critical to see, one, if a tool is getting bypassed or a technology isn't identifying a threat, maybe there are other indicators of compromise, indicators of attack from a different log source or from a different part of your environment. So MDR takes your endpoint logs, both our logs and third-party logs. It'll take your network logs, firewalls, wireless access points, DNS, cloud, email, Microsoft, Google, pull in all that data, identity, again, Google, Active Directory, Entra ID, whatever that might be, your multi-factor tool, pulling all that data into a single platform, applying some AI, some machine learning, some detection capabilities to that data, and then having the people on the back end looking at what's happening on a 24/7 basis and responding to incidents when they are occurring and helping partner with our customers to quickly remediate, hopefully as early as possible in the kill chain versus when, a bad actor does get access, they're persistent, when they go execute that attack, if they've been there for days, weeks, months, that can be pretty painful. So we want to identify that as fast as possible through that MDR service. And then I'll also make a note on the way we deliver that service is very unique. So the people, the engineers, analysts that we have working around the clock, they are experts. They understand a lot of different technologies, and they'll ensure that we are responding quickly. But we also partner our customers with more strategic security experts. We call them a concierge security team. But that's a team that works with you to really protect and delight our customers, to deliver our service with excellence, to ensure that we are customizing it to your technologies, to your industry, helping with reporting, helping with those cyber insurance renewals, and then also helping our customers, understand where they're at today, what that baseline is, and building a plan to help them get more secure over time. We call it a security journey that we work with on them, but this can include, a view, an assessment, a conversation about different technologies that you're leveraging, maybe it's Active Directory, maybe it's Google Workspace, it might be your firewalls. Looking at how they're configured, the data we're seeing from it, and then if we do identify gaps or concerns, having a conversation with you, with your team, to see, if there's an opportunity to help fill that gap, or maybe put a new procedure in place or put a new configuration in place, or maybe it is investing in another technology and giving you the data points and the information needed to make the right choice there. So we help you proactively with that service, with that team, to really just move the needle and get better at security over time. The next service, manage risk. This would be doing the continuous vulnerability scanning on the environment. A lot of tools out there today that can do that. We also deliver the tooling and technology to do the scans, identify the vulnerabilities in the environment, assign risk scores to them, and really help you prioritize, where, when you do have the time and capability to patch and do updates, where you'll get the most bang for your buck. If it is an external facing device or appliance, maybe it's a firewall. If we see a risk there, maybe that's more important than something that's just showing up on a single laptop. So we help prioritize, we help with questions with this service, and then deliver that continuous scanning to understand what's in the environment. Managed security awareness is really focused on that education piece for your users. So with this partnership and offering, we send out continuous training, videos, quizzes, questionnaires, ensuring that, again, your end users know exactly what to look for. They understand what attacks are coming at them, what techniques are being leveraged. So hopefully, when that might occur for the end user, they are pausing, they are taking that extra step to ensure if something's legit or not. We also include a monthly phishing simulation to see, how effective is this training for your end users, and maybe identify areas to help support your users if needed. And then finally, our incident response team. Again, they work a lot with the cyber insurance industry. They're brought into breaches, incidents that are occurring. There's a lot of expertise here. It's all in-house. We have a full scope of offerings where we can help an organization get up, do the threat actor negotiations, do the recoveries, really whatever's needed from our team. But we also have some retainers that we can partner with our customers on. So, again, just having that plan, having that IR plan, having that IR team that you can go to, making sure it's documented, maybe doing stuff like tabletop exercises, defining incident run books, an area where we can proactively, work with organizations and ensure that they have a good grasp on what to do if something were to happen. I think I might at this point I have to talk about AI to stay employed, or make that a part of every presentation. So just real quick on how we leverage that within our SOC, within our technologies. And it really spans various components of our offerings, our platform, our software, the way our SOC team works. So we have capabilities all over our solutions, and how we are partnering with that technology to help better protect our organizations. One of the cool things at the top here is our platform, and the data we're pulling in is really, really critical, really massive in scale, which affords us the opportunity to see some very unique things happening in the market and the threat landscape. So, we're through our AI capabilities, through our platform and our partnerships with various tools, our holistic approach. A lot of times we're seeing activity, we're seeing novel threats happen before they're known in the security landscape, before they become public. So a lot of value in the way that we pull in data, the various verticals we support, all the customers that we're helping provide services for. That feeds our ability to detect quickly and see things maybe that some other tools or organizations aren't seeing. Our SOC, our people, we want them to be as efficient as possible. So AI enables them to quickly, again, do the alert triage, identify threats, maybe do AI assisted threat hunting, see those new indicators of compromise and attack that, again, maybe aren't known, maybe aren't published, and provide that quick remediation and response for organizations. And then our labs team. So we staff a lot of folks in our R&D, ensuring that, again, our platform is world class. We are seeing things quickly. We are responding quickly. We also have data scientists. We pull in a lot of data, so we need to make sure that architecture works, is efficient. So we have folks focused on that. But just a note, we have a lot of people, dollars, and resources into ensuring, again, that we're a world-class partner and organization that's helping provide a very valuable service back to our customers. So I kind of went through all of the services and again, I get the opportunity to work with a lot of organizations, and sometimes it's hard to get budget, to get dollars to make those investments in some of the services or tooling that you think would help the organization or the district. And happy to help, provide information and provide metrics and stuff like that. But again, sometimes unless you've gone through a breach or there's requirements from like cyber insurance, it might be hard to secure dollars, especially with fixed budgets and limited staff to kind of spearhead some of those projects. So this one is a great place to start. I love the capabilities of our IR team. I love the fact that we can help organizations have a good plan in place. Our ability to work with a lot of the cyber insurance providers out there today. So if you guys do have a policy, our IR team would be able to be that resource that comes in to work with your cyber insurance and ensure the continuity throughout that process. And then, just some of the capabilities we have from delivering the IR plan for customers, something that you definitely want to have in place. If you do have it in place, maybe review it, update it, have some experts that can go through that plan with you and see if there's, any information that might be missing or any updates that are needed. Having some incident run books, so exactly, like if it's ransomware, business email compromise, whatever it might be, exactly what steps to take throughout that incident. And then certainly, if you have the opportunity to do stuff like a tabletop exercise, maybe bring in different people from the organization, from the district. It's not always IT that's impacted. Schools have a lot of different components that are a part of an incident. Maybe it's buses aren't running or after school activities can occur. Maybe there's pieces of software in the environment where staff can't do their job without access to it. So there's a lot of components, and going through like a tabletop or kind of a sample event really helps bring those people and those different organizations and business units together to better understand, what that overall impact might look like. And again, a lot of times that helps drive maybe like, hey, maybe we can make an investment here or there, or partner with an organization on a service that will help us avoid, hopefully that from ever happening. So yeah, from a presentation standpoint, that's what I had for you guys today. Again, just want to thank ByteSpeed for the opportunity to chat with everyone. I want to thank everyone that joined today. Hopefully there's maybe some questions that popped in your head that you can go follow up on. Certainly if there's any opportunity for us to partner with you, we'd love to have a conversation, see where we might be able to help out. And yeah, as a follow-up, the threat report's on our website. You guys are always welcome to contact me, work with ByteSpeed to maybe work with your local teams that are at Arctic Wolf. But again, thanks for the time. Happy to help out in any way we can.
Thanks again, Nick. That was super helpful. Um, if I don't see any questions right away here, but this recording will be sent as a follow-up by email. And so let us know if you have any questions that come up later, or interested in any particular quotes or any specific information about one particular solution that we presented here today. But thank you so much for your time. And unless there's any question here, maybe in the last minute, we can call it a day. Alrighty. Thanks, everyone.
Yep, thanks. Bye.